Obviously, genetic testing can be for everyone. Are there certain testing profiles that belong to certain people? Are there certain tests that people should get based on their history?
Yeah.
You're welcome to go into
Yeah,
what
so a
you're.
couple of things. Yeah. Yeah, so I think, you know, certainly there's certain red flags that if they pop up in your family history, it gets us thinking about certain testing. So if someone comes to me and says like, you know what, there's a family history of a specific condition and we're not quite sure what it is, but this is what it is, we'll kind of work through what that might be and testing options that could help you better understand what your risk might be. I think before anyone ever does any genetic testing, one of the questions I always like to ask or get them to think about is what would having this information mean to you, right? Will it change your management? What does it mean for you? Sometimes it's just about having peace of mind. Other times sometimes it could be about your own health. Like sometimes people are finding out that there's an increased risk of cancer for themselves, and it means your management is going to change, right? And sometimes that management might not change until a certain age. And so we talk about, is there utility in doing testing now or waiting for it? Will doing that testing now create more anxiety right now? Are you the type of person that would want to wait until another time to do that testing? Um, and then there's certain conditions that are more common in certain ethnicities. And so based on your ethnicity, we might talk about certain testing as well. But nowadays, that ethnicity based testing is kind of less and less common because we're doing panels that are more comprehensive and kind of capturing all ethnicities. Because the reality is, even if you're not part of a particularly high risk ethnicity for a condition, anyone could still theoretically be a carrier for. And a lot of the times we might not even know our own ethnic background to really know and narrow it down. Um, and then there's testing, like say someone comes to me and says, I've had a couple miscarriages, right? We talk about maybe we want to do a karyotype or understand more about your chromosomes to say, could you have a balanced translocation? Like, let's try to figure out what might have led to that miscarriage. And if we know about it and we know the why, then maybe we can offer you different things moving forward that would make the chance of you having a miscarriage less moving forward. And again, I think knowing this info in advance, like what happens is you go to your first OB appointment and you have your arm out for blood work, right? And oftentimes most people don't even know, is it like, am I getting my iron levels, my thyroid levels, and hey, genetic testing as well, right? It's just kind of bundled all in one. Like you talk to your OB, you go to the lab, you get your blood drawn. You're not, the breakdown is not really there so much. And so if you know in advance what's happening, you can be so much more vocal and saying like, listen, doctor, like I want an expanded carrier screening panel. I want the largest panel that's possible. Or, you know what, I actually don't want any of this because knowing this info now will create so much anxiety for me. There's nothing I'm going to do differently in my pregnancy. I really don't want any of this. But if you don't know, then you can't advocate. Yeah. Obviously there are people with all different perceptions. And I think there's some people who come with a very religious background that say like, well, what's the point in knowing anything if I wouldn't do anything to alter a pregnancy? And to that person, I've seen all permutations, right? I've seen people um, who are kind of very pro-life decide to make a decision to not continue a very challenging pregnancy with a lethal condition. I've seen people, change their mind midway through on things. Um, I think a lot of it boils down to oftentimes you don't know what decision you'd make until it becomes your reality. So coming into it with a very like black and white yes no, like there's so many nuances that go into the equation.